Well, it's been a long time since I've had the chance to get out into a forest, and this is a completely different forest to what I'm used to. Where we moved from last year, much wetter, much bigger trees. Like, we're talking some of the biggest flowering plants in the world. Massive, gums. Here, not so much. Much more scrubby, much drier, much crappier soils. But the wood is unbelievably dense and unbelievably hard. So we're going to see what we can find. I'm going to get a few logs in the trailer, and yeah, it's going to be good being out in the forest. Listen to the birds. Well, not while I'm running the chainsaw, but anyway, let's see what we find. So the first wood I found is all these old logs. Now, part of the rules of getting wood from these forests is that the old logs, the ones that got hollows in them and so on, you're supposed to leave those for habitat. But you can see some people have been doing the wrong thing and they've been pinching stuff from here, which is, well, not cool. But sucks to be them, because these trees here, the ones we've seen all around, I'm pretty certain they're yellow box, and yellow box is unbelievably hard. And pretty much, I can guarantee that if they've used their chainsaws to cut this wood, pretty likely they're going to stuff their chains. This wood is that hard. If you're going to cut this stuff, you've got to get it when it's fresher. This old stuff like this, you know, it's just a good way to churn through and ruin your equipment. So even if I was allowed to cut this wood, no thank you. No thank you at all. So, yeah, and you can see, like, they've just sort of nibbled off the ends. They haven't actually, you know, there's no whole logs missing. And I reckon that's because they've just had a go and then gone, oh my God. But anyway, let's see what else we can find. Well, not going so well. Done a lot of driving around and not finding many logs I can get stuck into. This firewood coop has already been picked pretty clean. But anyway, I found a couple of logs to grab. So it's time to pull out the chainsaw, and then we've come across the next problem. Now, I'm going to try to get this to focus up. Now, before I was talking about how hard these woods can be if they're dry. Well, they're hard even if they're green. But, oh God, focus. Alright, so I'll have to take a still. But anyway, what you can see there is basically just off the point here, the chrome of the tooth has started to peel away. So that tooth there really needs to be filed back about, well, 1/2 mil, even maybe a bit more, to get back to the steel and chrome interface, which is what gives you your cutting edge. So all of that corner there is, well, trashed. And there's a whole series of these teeth that have been, well, they're not knackered, but they have to have a lot of material filed off them before they can be sharpened properly. And that's the thing with these super hard woods, is they're just, like, you Americans, you reckon your oak is hard, but you ain't seen nothing until you've tried some of these Australian woods. And then you've got this dust and this sand and stuff, which is just murder on top of that. Like an oak, like, it's got a lot of silica in it, it will blunt your tools pretty quickly. But an oak's only, you know, 750, 850 kilos per cubic meter. You know, that's a hard wood, that's a dense wood. But, you know, this old thing here, that's most likely yellow box. And you're talking 1100 kilos per cubic meter. You cut a piece of this off and throw it in water, it'll sink. And that's pretty much the same with all these trees. But I've given this a bit of a tickle, a bit of a sharpen, and if I can just lop off some logs and get them in the trailer, we can deal with them later. Right, well, we're starting to get a bit of a load, but slight setback. Oh, nothing. Barely in. That felt a lot worse than it was. So I found a bit of a leftover. There's some scale. But I reckon we might get some nice little bits of figure out of this crotch. We'll see. But yeah. It doesn't look that big, but this stuff is heavy. So, I don't know who the foresters were who did the falling in here, but I think they've been a bit of a mistake. If you see the bark on this log, see the bark is different from all these trees. In fact, I can't see a single tree that is of this species. So the foresters come along and they've felled the only tree of this type as far as the eye can see, and everywhere else is box. Now that wasn't a good idea. But anyway, now I've got to get this back to there. That's going to be... There's no way I can carry it, it's just too freaking heavy. Alright, I'm just going to have to roll it. I don't know how heavy these saplings look. They're pretty small. But, oh my lord, they're heavy. Oh, that's a lot easier than lifting. If you've watched the cider press videos about moving the timbers, some of those timbers I'll tell you what, they're easier than these things. Well, that's not a bad load considering the start, but not as much as I was hoping for. So now I just got to get out of here and get home, and it's a bit early, but it's the last day of school term today, so kids are finishing school early, so I've got to be back to pick them up. Yeah, but anyway, this wood's going to be used for a bunch of stuff, which I'll do videos on in due course. Stuff for Sarah, stuff for the kids, a little bit of stuff for me, I must admit. But we're going to have some fun with it. Anyway, it's been great just getting out here in the forest. It is, yeah, it's been too long since I've had the chance to do it. But anyway, I just got to get out.